Welcome everyone to a brand new solo challenge! This time around we are heading to the Galar region and bringing our favorite pup from Alola with us, Rockruff! The end goal will be to take down the unbeatable champion, Leon. Let me know in the comments what you think about Rockruff. So what makes Rockruff rough? Coming from the beautiful Hawaiian-themed region of Aloha, Rockruff makes a return in Sword and Shield. If you had played the base game, then you would never have seen Rockruff. He actually came to us in the expansion pack for the Owl of Armor. With that in mind, will this give us an advantage over the gym leaders? Maybe the cuteness factor will come into play. Because just look how adorable Rockruff is. Let's take him in for his checkup and look at those stats. His bite is definitely a lot worse than his bark. That attack and speed stat are actually really good. Too bad the defensive stats are really rough. Being a rock type though, we have quite a few resistances, but being hit with a super effective attack will probably one-shot our poor boy. Next up is the level up moves. This list is actually not bad at all. It learns double team at level 8, and you know what that means. Looking at the actual attacks, I feel Rock Tomb is probably the best solution for its stab rock damage just based on accuracy alone. Crunch is also amazing and could be useful in quite a few fights. This is by far one of the best level up movesets we have seen thus far. I'll go ahead and show the TM list for Rockruff, but just note that we will not take any TMs this time around. A new feature of Sword and Shield are one-time usage TRs or technical records. At first, I'll be grabbing the one for workup, but we will graduate to the better edition known as Swords Dance. All in all, not a bad moveset at all for our little pup. So what do you say? How about helping us out with some good vibes as you click that like and subscribe button? Our Rockruff has hatched from its egg, and we can now take a look at its official stats. We get Adamant Nature, which is one of the best natures. I would have preferred the nature that increases speed instead, but this will work just as well. He also has Own Tempo for the ability. I'll be honest on this one, I didn't actually know which Rockruff I was grabbing. Its ability makes it to where we cannot be confused ever, and also the Intimidate ability does not work on us either. We do a little bit of grinding in order to make it to the wild area, and the first encounter out there, we lose to a Combi. A Combi! Of all things! You can tell what kind of series this will be just from that. While out in the wild area, I grab the TR for Swords Dance and teach it immediately. When we make it to Motostoke, I finally named the Rockruff Balboa after Rocky Balboa. It has a nice ring to it. In this series, I'm going to show the Team Yell fights as I feel they are a fairly important fight. The first two grunts go down with a couple of rock throws. Crazy enough, they only do 2 HP back to Balboa the entire fight. Now we have the double fight with Hop against Team Yell. Nothing is different here as they both go down with rock throws. That high attack stat is definitely showing its fame in this early portion of the game. In honor of Rockruff, our uniform number will be its dex number, 744. Right afterwards is technically our third rival fight with Hop. The first two are done with your starter in order to gain access to trading. Irregardless, our first true fight against Hop goes a little something like this. Set up double Swords Dance on Wooloo and rock throw to victory. While Swords Dance increasing our attack by 2 stages, it will provide a better boost than Workup would ever. The rival fight is good and all and provides a nice bit of experience, but the next trainer I face decides to give Rockruff the old boot. He was taken down by a Pancham. At this point, I've realized this game is actually a lot harder than I took it for. I remember actually blazing right through this the first time I played, but going for a solo challenge is proving to be a difficult one. Regardless, we make it to the Galar Mine number 1 and meet our second rival, Bede. Bede actually puts up a decent fight against us, and nearly knocks out poor Rockruff at the start. Endeavor is a move to not joke around with. We heal on up, and it's a rock throw party for the remainder of his team. Balboa did not have bite just yet, which would have helped out tremendously in this fight. I forgot just how long it takes to actually get to the first gym leader in this game. Up first though is Milo, the grass type leader. We are already at a huge disadvantage here being rock type ourselves. Milo's first Pokemon is Glossifleur. We attempt to set up double team, and after 2 turns of this, Magical Leaf pops out. Immediately we switch up the strategy to increasing our attack to be able to end the fight quicker. Magical Leaf works similar to Swift in that no matter what, it will never miss the target. Eldegoss is his final Pokemon, and we are greeted with the Dynamax phenomenon of Galar. This challenge will be a no Dynamax challenge for our poor pup. Eldegoss proves to be a bit too much and wipes us out with the Max Overgrowth for the end of Attempt 1. Attempt 2 is lots better. Rockruff is a little bit higher level, and we make it to Eldegoss with full HP. The Max Overgrowth nearly one-shots Rockruff, but we hang on in order to take down Eldegoss to our first gym badge. Up next is a 2-part Team Yell fight in order to gain access to the bike. Not much to say here as everything goes down in one rock throw. These type of fights are very welcome, especially as we progress through the rest of the game. After Team Yell is done yelling, Hop is ready to fight once again. Wooloo is not a threat at all since it knows nothing that can hurt us, and it goes down pretty quickly. Thraki hits us with a Razor Leaf for major damage and brings us to 14 HP before we knock it out as well. His final Pokemon is Corvisquire. I wasn't sure what to expect here, so I went with the heal instead of outright attacking. The next turn, one Rock Tomb does the bird in, and we move on to our first major wall of the game. Nessa is probably the coolest gym leader of the 8 of them, but she is not to be trifled with. First off, she is a water type gym leader, which puts us at yet another huge disadvantage. Her first Pokemon, Goldeen, does loads of damage, but we can sort of use it to set up double teams. After getting all of them set up, a Rock Tomb does the Goldfish in. Up next is Arrokuda, who did no damage since it missed its Aqua Jet. This is perfect because we're going into her final Pokemon Dreadnought with full HP. We couldn't ask for a better setup. Problem is, I forgot a key element. Max moves sort of don't care about evasion. At least they didn't when we went through this game. The Max Geyser almost one-shots Rockruff, and we do not knock out with a Rock Tomb. I try to go for the knockout due to the speed drop, but Dreadnought is still faster and knocks us out. Attempt 2 was a little more of the same. I leveled up to level 31 via the EXP candies from raid battles, and was finally able to knock out this Bowser-looking turtle and finally be able to move on to our next gym leader. B just has to get in our way before we can take on the third gym leader. At first I wanted to set up double team, but after seeing the damage done by Solosis, we switched up tactics and Balboa went to biting everything. This bite could not have come at a better time. During this fight, we leveled up and learned Rock Slide. But after debating a minute, ultimately we let it slide on by and leave Rock Tomb on. The remainder of Bede's team goes down with one-shots to bite. At this point, I'm having more trouble with the gym leaders than rival fights. Team Yell makes a comeback with a double fight against myself and Hawk. These two have evolved Pokemon together, so it makes the fight a little more difficult. The first Pokemon to go down is Linoon with a Rock Tomb. His next Pokemon is Pancham. This is bad, as one attack could spell disaster for us. It missed the low kick, and we knock it out with Rock Tomb. The other grunt was not so bad since the Liepard went down with one attack. After the grunts is our first Marnie fight. Croagunk is her first Pokemon, and after Balboa's first attack, we get revenged for almost a knockout. Instead of healing, we go ahead and just knock out this Croagunk before a Scraggy appears. Its super effective low kick does not do much to us, but at the same time, our Rock Tomb does very little against it. The best solution to the problem is setting up sword dances while healing in the middle of taking damage. Scraggy goes down, and next is Morpeko. This Pika clone started with Bite Flinch strats to try and knock out. Too bad we get the Rock Tomb through, and Marnie is defeated. Our third gym leader is Kabu, the Fire Master. Right off the bat, this starts to be a very interesting fight. We start with double team strats, while getting burned with Will-O-Wisp. Then the next turn, we are hit with Fire Spin. This will do residual damage each turn. This, in addition to the damage from burn, starts adding up quite a bit. Ninetales is also not helping, while getting through evasion with Embers, dealing a little bit of damage as well. It does take a little bit, but we do get to setting up a few Swords Dances before smashing the Ninetales with Rock Tomb. Arcanine is next, and the Intimidate ability is negated by our own ability. This is why I picked up Own Tempo. There are a lot of Pokemon in the game that will have this Intimidate ability. The final Pokemon is Centiskorch, and our first official Gigantamax form. Too bad we are actually quite a lot faster, and we take it out with one Rock Tomb. It's also quad weak to Rock, being Bug and Fire type. You just witnessed probably the easiest gym we will face in this entire game. Take this win with the biggest smile on your face, because the fights are about to get harder and harder. For now though, we need to send Team Yell packing to cross the next route. All of this because they want to protect the natural wildlife. The first grunt does hit us with a bite, but both of his Pokemon go down to Rock Tombs. The second grunt fight does a little more damage to Balboa with Assurance, and I think it's a good idea to heal since it did quite a bit of damage, but Liepard attempts to use Fury Swipes, which do minimal damage. It also goes down to one Rock Tomb. We have our fourth gym leader, Allister, the Whiz Kid of Ghosts. I'm not very worried about this gym since most ghost types have a horrible weakness to physical dark type attacks. At first, I tried to set up double team, but quickly get disabled out of that. Since Yamask wasn't doing much damage with Hex, Balboa sets up a couple of Sword Dances, before going in with a crunch to knock it out. Of course, we lose our ability due to how Yamask works, but I don't feel it's that important. Next up is Cursula, a new addition to Galar, but unfortunately, it did not survive a crunch to show what it can do. Allister's next Pokemon is Mimikyu, who I despise just because of its ability. We Rock Tomb to break the disguise while getting pelted with Shadow Sneak. Crazy enough, even with being hit, we still have quite a lot of HP remaining for the final Pokemon Gengar. Another Gigantamax form, but somehow it's actually slower than Balboa, and is taken down with a crunch. All that being said, the 4th gym leader is taken down pretty well if I should say so myself. Our third fight with Bede is right now, and it's a joke. Every single one of his Pokemon is slower than Rockruff and goes down to 1 crunch. I feel almost bad for Bede at this point, since we know what happens to him a little bit later on. It's already time for the 5th gym leader, Opal. Here's the thing, I like Opal as a gym leader. I think it's her characteristics and how she presents herself is what I like about her. She is the fairy type gym leader, and this is not an easy fight at all. Weezing needs to go down ASAP due to some of its attacks that it has. Next up is Mawile, which we can use to set up double teams on. After about 4, we go ahead and just swap to sword dances, and from there, Mawile finally goes down. Togekiss could pose a problem if it didn't faint in one attack. With her morning tea finally kicking in, we have Alcremie and her Gigantamax form. This makes Alcremie faster than Balboa and gives it a special G-Max attack. It did not do very much damage, and 1 Rock Tomb entombed the Alcremie for our 5th gym badge. It's Hop once again, and this time he actually stomped us on the first attempt. His first Pokemon, Trevenant, goes down to a crunch, but Rillaboom actually takes a lot longer to take out. This, coupled with how much damage he is doing, actually makes this tough. Once the Rillaboom does go down, it's Snorlax next, and he actually gets me with its first attack. I thought maybe we had a chance, but unfortunately not on the first attempt. The second attempt is much smoother with Snorlax going down easily, and his final Pokemon Bolton does the exact same. Hop actually showed the fierceness of what's to come, and that fierceness starts right here with Melanie. With her being an Ice-type gym, I had planned on walking in and one-shotting everything. I set up a single double team before Hail comes out. Now I switch to the offensive and knock out the Frostmoth with a Rock Tomb. Her second Pokemon is Galarian Darmanitan. With us being faster, we take it down in one attack as well. The third Pokemon is Ice Cube. This is not a fun Pokemon to try and take out, especially with physical attacks. Its ability is a lot like Disguise, except without the backlash of HP. It also has the added effect of when it hails, it gains it back. It does take a few turns because of all of this nonsense, but a Rock Tomb does do it in eventually. Melanie's final Pokemon is Lapras, and that means another Gigantamax. This one, however, is beautiful with the ice swirling around, and that ice and its G-Max signature move does Rockruff in this time. On attempt 2, we get to Lapras again, but still not fast enough, even after leveling up with all of these candies, and get Max Geysered this time for our punishment. It took several more attempts and even raising all the way up to level 70 to finally take this leader down. In Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, at this level, we would be preparing for the Elite Four. And here we are, just barely getting past the 6th gym leader. At this point, I don't face trainers or wild Pokemon unless it's required to progress. And once again, we have another hot fight. We are so much higher level than he is at this point. I decide that one Swords Dance is enough and begin taking out each of his Pokemon one by one. I'm so sorry, Hop, for that, but it had to be done. We have Marnie's time to shine once again. She starts with Liepard, and I get tormented. This means I can't use the same move twice in a row. It's extremely annoying, but I use this opportunity to Swords Dance, and then take every other turn with Double Team. After Liepard is Scrafty. Dark and Fighting type is our worst enemy here. The Brick Break does major damage, but Balboa has plenty of kick left in him. It also takes 2 Rock Tombs in order to take down the Scrafty. Toxicroak tried the Sucker Punch and failed miserably as we use another Double Team instead. It pays the price with a Rock Tomb. Her last Pokemon is Morpeko. We both missed our first attacks, but Morpeko hits with Spark the next turn and almost takes Balboa down, but our Rock Tomb was enough to take it down completely. Attempting to head into Spike Mode, you are actually barred from entering unless you have 2 healthy Pokemon in your party. It's very sad that this game has so many more required double fights than BDSP, and there's nothing we can do about it. I'm showing off the double fight here in Spike Month before we head off to the leader. Gym leader number 7, Piers, the Dark-type musician. He starts off with Scrafty and does a Fake Out. Of course, that does minimal damage, but it does flinch us. We set up a Swords Dance before finding out that we are a 2-shot to Brick Break. We try to knock out with Rock Tomb, but alas, it was just not enough to win. Attempt 2 goes so much better, as Scrafty goes down quickly this time. Obstagoon is up next, and just happens to be an extremely huge hindrance. Its signature move, Obstruct, is a protect attack. Throat Chop does quite a lot of damage, and we need 2 turns in order to take it down. After that, the rest of his team falls and 1 Rock Tomb. We hit the 8th gym, and unfortunately, this gym is all about double battles. I wanted to make sure that each fight is played in order to show that it was a true solo run, and Score Bunny did nothing that could benefit Rockruff. In fact, this made it more difficult, as it could take longer to take down the teams. While we go through the remainder of these, let's talk about our sponsor, Power A. Officially licensed by Nintendo, this Power A enhanced wireless controller for Nintendo Switch combines beauty and performance. Each rechargeable controller features world-class art, along with awesome gaming features. They all come with 10 feet, 3 meter USB-C charge cables. Plus, Power A backs all products for 2 years to reinforce quality commitment. Some of the features you get are rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, up to 30 hours per charge, 2 mappable advanced gaming buttons, embedded anti-friction rings for smooth thumbstick control, and that can be used when the Nintendo Switch is docked or undocked. I have been using Power A controllers for at least a year now, and I love them. Use code Syndicate to get 5% off your order today. Play your way. Our final gym leader is Raihan, the dragon type extraordinaire. Though, I wouldn't really call him that, as his main gimmick is more weather in battles. Sandstorm does not actually affect us, as we are rock type. And this is what I like to call the final boss of the game. The first attempt was horrible, as we did not even make it past his first two Pokemon. With Flygon using Steel Wing and Gigalith using Body Press, Rockruff takes way too much damage in one turn. I also want you to realize at this point, Balboa is level 78. By the end of this, we will almost be level 100 because of how difficult this fight is. Several hours later, we finally make it to his final Pokemon, Duraludon. I found out something about Duraludon that I was not expecting. It's actually faster than Rockruff. I'm not sure if it was just due to the paralysis, or if it was just faster naturally. This gym leader took me 5 hours and many attempts to finally get past. This was not for the faint of heart. We relied on a lot of luck at the beginning, with Skarmory missing the Steel Wing, and I want Gigalith down first, because the Body Press doing so much damage, since it's based on the user's defense stat. Sandaconda needs to go down next, since I don't want to get paralyzed. Between attempts, I also swapped in Earth Power for the Duraludon. Thanks to the critical hit, it goes down in one attack, and then Flygon goes down right after to a crunch. After so long, the hardest fight in the game is finally done, and it's time for the Champion Cup at Winden. Marnie is our first contender to deal with in the Champions Cup. This fight plays out pretty much the same as last time. Liepard torments Balboa, and between Swords Dance and switching off between Rock Tomb and Earth Power, all of her Pokemon go down with relative ease. We even get to see the Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. She does major damage with it because we are slower, but 2 turns is all we need. Keep in mind, we are level 100 at this point. There's no getting stronger from this point on. Once again, I feel super bad for Hop. He made it all the way to the finals, and I'm about to wipe his butt with Rockruff. We set up one Swords Dance on Dubwool, as it just literally cannot do anything against us. And one by one, his Pokemon go down. It actually sucks that we don't get to see a G-Max Corviknight here. Banger song alert right here. I actually love Elena's battle theme. It's one of the best in the game for me. Two-batter fight was pretty much about the same as Hop's was. Frostlass let us set up triple sword dance against it, and then got a tomb of rocks in their face. Sadly, while I like each of her Pokemon, they go down in one rock tomb as well. As many times as I faced off against the Melodic, it never surprises me just how great that it looks in these new generation games. We're going to be getting some much needed payback on the gym leaders that gave us so many issues earlier in this video. First though is Bede, the new fairy type gym leader. Mawile is the only threat here with Iron Head, but one Swords Dance and we are off to the races. Much like the previous fights before, it's basically a one-shot pain train for the remainder of his team. Bede has such a cool looking team that I hate knocking them out like this. Even the G-Max Hatterene. After the Raihan fight we had, I'm extremely happy things have been going like this. Our first major contender is Nessa and her water team. I really like her team in this rematch, and I like the bop that's also going on here. Sword and Shield has a lot of really good music tracks for battles, and it really shows here. Her first Pokemon is Glitchxcity. We both Swords Dance, but because Balboa is faster, Rock Tomb one-shots it. We go through her team until Pelipper, who sets up Rain by its ability. It still goes down to one Rock Tomb though, and we have a G-Max Dreadnought to contend with. Rock Tomb does take it down in one hit, and it almost one-shots us with Max Darkness. I'm very sure if it had used the water-based attack, it would have been over. But surprisingly, it was only one attempt and went smoother than anticipated. Allister is our next leader refight. We really don't have a vendetta against Allister, but we have to defeat him once again in order to make it to the champion fight. One Swords Dance against Dusknoir and we crunch it down. I'm going to be a broken record here, but each of his Pokemon goes down in one attack to either Crunch or Rock Tomb. We are back for vengeance, Raihan. I want to wipe that smirk right off his face this time. But did I mention how cool he actually looks though? He starts off with Torkoal this time to make it sunny. It's a very odd start, but sure, why not? We use the first turn to Swords Dance and get blasted with a Solar Beam. I didn't even know Torkoal could learn that attack. When I see that, I want to get through with this as fast as possible. Rock Tomb the Turtle for a knockout. We knock out the rest of his Pokemon until the G-Max Duraludon. Not quite a one-shot this time, and it hits us with a Max Knuckle out of everything in its arsenal. I'm not sure what was going on, but we take those wins. You know, when I first played this game, I never expected the chairman to be such a bad guy like this. Crazy how things turn around when greed get to you, huh? His entire team is still types. This does not sound like fun at all. He starts with a Scavalier, and in 2 turns, it knocks out Balboa. Remember, we're the strongest we can get. There's nothing higher at this point, and we lost to this Pokemon. Don't worry though, attempt 2 is a loss as well, since Ferrothorn used Gyro Ball and one-shot Rockruff with it from full HP. So my strategy is this. Take out the Escavalier as fast as possible, then Swords Dance once on Ferrothorn. No matter what move it would have used, we needed to knock it out the next turn. Before this attempt, I actually had to look up base stats on defense for each Pokemon. After calculating, I came to the conclusion that only one Swords Dance was enough for the rest of his team. This included the G-Max Caparaja. I love the Eternatus 3-part story fight. It might be because of the legendary doggos coming to help you out during it, but it's just so damn cool! At this point, I want to let you know about the next challenge coming out. It's going to be Brilliant Diamond with a solo Palkia, no items in battle. I'm still in the process of going through the game at the time of this script being written, but I'm hoping to have it out by next week. Here we are, the final fight of the game. It's time for Champion Leon to take the stage and see if we can win against him with our Rockruff. His first Pokemon is Aegislash, the Sword and Shield Pokemon. How fair. We start with a Swords Dance to measure out just how much damage the sword part is going to do. It does enough to put us in danger zone for the berry we had on. We do manage to get Aegislash down, but next up is Haxorus. We do not outspeed this dragon, and get Iron Tail for the knockout! Yay! The next attempt, we try Evasion stats, only to get Sacred Sword by the Aegislash, which is not affected by stat increases. Several attempts later, I go and get the Eviolite, which I should have done a long freaking time ago while I was in Balanlea. Eviolite is what actually got us the win. Let's watch together the beautiful magic that happens when the champion goes down. For some reason, the Charizard used the Max Rock Fall, which did very little to Balboa. I have no clue why it chose that, but we take that as it goes down to 1 Rock Tomb. This challenge took about 22 hours in and out of game to complete. Never did I think Sword and Shield was going to be this difficult that I had to reach max level in order to win. If I do another challenge run of this game, it will probably be with one of the starters, since we started right after the second rival fight technically. All in all though, I'm very proud of what was accomplished this day. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.